Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hi from Super Soul Farm. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior citizen educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Welcome, everybody. Do you think it's fair? We call it, is it misleading, Kaustubha, that we're a daily yoga podcast? And people are like, well, where's the down dog? I didn't get one down dog this whole week in your yoga podcast.
Well, we're trying to help broaden that idea of yoga.
There we go. Wisdom Sages, a daily study of yoga wisdom. That's the secret line I have. Wisdom literature, focusing on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And yesterday we spoke about how the Bhagavatam is the essence of all the teachings of ancient India. That's not my subjective opinion. It's not because I like the cover of the book or the pictures in the book. That is the perfectional stage of the jiva, is where we're seeing ourselves as separate than a physical being even. Isn't that amazing when you actually think of it like that? When you think about it like that, because what do we generally boil ourselves into? Oftentimes groups, political parties, religions, genders. We're not even a gender. According to the Bhagavatam, you're not even a boy. Mara's not even a girl. You went to that all-girls school, Mara, that private school when you're high. It was not even based in reality. You should have gone to the dean of students and been like, this is bogus. This is not even bona fide. I'm a spiritual being. I actually drove by your school yesterday, Emma Willard. I did. Yep.
How did it look?
It was like Yale. It was like very impressive. It was like, looked like a Gothic castle. I can just see you there in one of the towers and turrets studying.
Studying the classics.
Studying the classics of Western literature. Which can be,
But now we're studying another classic.
Yeah, Eastern literature classics. This is a classic. It drove me crazy. How we see everything from this Greco-Roman narrative of the classics, classical music. Like
Hold on. Greco-Roman narrative, is that what you said?
Yeah. Everything goes back to Greek. I got that from Sadaputa Prabhu. Okay. Everything comes from the perspective. Yeah, now I have credibility.
Are you sure you're applying it properly?
Yeah, everything. When we talk, somebody talks about
talking about wrestling.
Greco-Roman, yeah. Oh, I meant wrestling. No, okay. No. Everything we speak of reading the classics, studying classical music. The father of medicine, Hippocrates. This is all from a Greco-Roman narrative of the history of the world. According to who? There was no medicine before Hippocrates? Come on. There's classics. According to who? Europeans.
All right.
Right? Come on.
So you're trying to say there's more out there.
Yeah. There's medicine all over the world. There's classical music. There's Japanese harp. Give me a break. And just so when we're discovering, going through all this culture of India, we realize very sophisticated culture.
It is.
They're not primitives. They're not primitives that we're helping them, educating them, and bring them. Yeah, I'm going to break it down for you, maybe tomorrow's show.
Okay.
I got this whole thing down scientifically, what happened in India. And we took them, retrained them with our narrative, sent them back to India. Not good. It's not good. We're going to resurrect this glorious culture. The yoga culture is so deep. Yoga culture is so deep.
It is.
So this is a classic. You want to talk about reading the classics? Let me tell my mom right now, this is the classics.
Somehow
The
we
Srimad
got into
Bhagavatam, the
classics.
Ramayana, the Mahabharata, these are classics.
All right.
You know, forget Catcher in the Rye. Mara means nothing now. All that you've read means nothing. No, they're still good. But I'm just saying there's other classics out there, Mara. Stop being so biased.
Whoa. Oh.
Just sorry. There's something in this mushroom tea that's just wiring me today.
That's why I was asking about it
Yeah.
earlier for the pre-show. Hey,
So
we
anyway,
should mention something, Raghu.
Today at 11 a.m.
There you
I'm
go.
hosting Sachinandana Maharaj. If you liked his interview on interview day last Sunday, the Patreon members have a chance to join him for a live meditation, questions and answers live on Patreon/Zoom. We'll send out the link.
Yeah,
And
so
we're
we'll always
excited.
send out those links on Patreon at some point before, so even if it's 10 minutes to go, it's going to come up there on Patreon. So
Yeah.
know that you'll
off.
always get the links
So
there.
back off, people. If you're like, where's my link?
It's coming.
Yeah. So entitled. The Patreon party is so entitled. Anyway, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And Sachinanda Maharaj, he's just a wonderful person, and I feel like the Bhagavatam, what it does is it creates dropped pins. I like that word. Dropped pins of character, of personalities. Like, I want to be like that when I get older. You know what I mean? I want to be like that. And I think we need heroes in this world. I think it's healthy to have heroes, but heroes are based on characters and these really like and like joy and this connection. These are my heroes I want. I don't want just basketball stars as my heroes, or beautiful people as my heroes, or even musicians as my heroes. There has to be character, dharma tied in with our heroes, or else we're worshiping a bunch of people who have some technique. And then we find some secret about them, some dark secret, it like breaks our heart. I think this is the difference between, when you read the Mahabharata, you read about heroes, these archetypes of courage, of fairness, of responsibility and ethical conduct, and saving the distressed or the vulnerable. What do you think about that little rant, Kaustubha?
Well, I'm with you. Sure, why not? There's
Why not? What do you mean, why not? This is like important.
Well, I mean,
It's
what
not
you're saying
why
is
not. It's like we're picking the wrong heroes in culture.
Okay.
Culture just determines, okay, this girl's got nice legs. She's our hero. Okay, this guy can sing. He's our hero. This guy's a football star. He's our hero. This guy can, make 20 foul shots in a row. Hero. Wrong.
Usually it's not 20 foul shots. That won't do it.
I don't know anything about basketball, if you want the honest truth.
Like a 3-pointer at the buzzer, that might do it. Okay.
3-pointer at the buzzer. Hero. No, not my hero. So we're on a new chapter today in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
No, we're not. We're on the same chapter.
Oh, yeah.
What are you drinking, Raghu? What is in that drink? I want to know.
All right. I hope we can get to that astrology part.
We're going to get to the astrology part for it. It's coming right up.
All right. Forgive me.
What's
What's our number? What number are we at?
We're on text 12. So
12. Okay. No, we could get to 18 then.
Well, 18 is not the astrology one. 12 is the astrology one, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's coming right up. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Let's start with our.
Yeah, text 12. So we could just say quickly. Okay, you want to chant the invocation?
Yeah, we're not allowed
Okay,
to speak before the invocation.
Okay. Cool.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, All that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana-salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Imagine if you're coming in right after, you listen to Joe Rogan, you heard that podcast with me, and then you sign up for Wisdom of the Sages, and the first thing you get is, before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of our conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead and Orion. That must be like, what? Right? The supermost human being, Narayana Rishi. What? I was like, what podcast is this? It's just...
Well, you talked about some far out stuff on the Joe Rogan thing, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, and you got your other thing coming out on Sunday.
Oh yeah, I'm doing this cool thing. I don't know how I'm going to post this, but I'm doing this interview with I'm interviewed by Steve Aoki, who's a big DJ. He's a huge DJ. I didn't realize how big he was until I went to YouTube and found out this guy's huge. He's got, you know what I was doing? We just got off a call with 150 people. And I was sort of like, yeah, I was just on a Zoom call with 150 people. And then I'm looking at his Instagram. And it's like, oh, he's got 8.7 thousand followers. That's pretty good. I was like, oh no, that's 8.7 million followers. I'm bragging about the 150 people on Zoom. Oh my God. Whenever I get a little arrogant, the universe just crushes me into powder. It's actually beautiful how the universe works that way. You want to get arrogant? Get arrogant. Here's Steve Aoki with 8.7 million people, you worm. That's how I felt.
Was he like a fan of your band?
He was a fan of Youth of Today.
Yeah, he was just like a straight growing up.
And now he's like into Wim Hof did this thing, and a bunch of big speakers on it was so funny. The thing is on brain science. He's a whole foundation on brain science. Wait till I call my mother and tell her, "Hi, Mom. Guess what I did? I was an authority on brain science this week."
Were you the authority, or were you being experimented on? Were you the subject of the?
I was the subject of a brain experiment. They told me I was an authority, but they put me in a lab and
let's examine him.
See, Mom, I never went to college, and I'm a brain authority now. I just gave him yoga perspective on depression and health and how our mind, what they call brain science. We talk with depression, resentment, anxiety, and just like simple yogic ways to deal with those things.
I bet it was real practical.
Which could include an exorcism. Okay. We're not going to go into that today.
Let's go into our astrology commentary today.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yes. Thereupon, when all the good signs, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 12, text 12.
And this is, we're reading about the birth of Maharaj Pariksit, who is going to be the main hearer of Bhagavatam and questioner.
Hearer and hero.
And hero.
And he is the...
Any other things?
Well, he's like an...
Hero. That's enough?
Heron.
Okay. And so we heard the questions from the sages. Hey, tell us about his birth. We heard a little bit of glorification of Yudhishthira. And now we're hearing then we heard about how he was protected in the womb by Lord Vishnu. And now we're hearing about the actual birth, like the zodiac, how at the time of his birth, Yudhishthira goes to, I think it's Daumya, the priests of the Pandavas. And he begins to ask questions. Okay, now he's been born. Tell me about his future. Astrologically, what will he be like as a king? Because he's concerned that he's going to have someone to carry that on. So that's what we're picking up today, text number 12.
I've got a crazy story to tell you.
Oh.
I'm not going to say it.
No.
I'm going to tell you privately. No, really, you don't want to hear
okay.
it. You don't want to hear it. But it's about Kshatriya warrior nobility. and how, they're just seeing the bigger picture of life, and this is what it means to be civilized. Civilized doesn't mean suit and tie. It means I see a bigger picture, a broader picture of reality. I'm willing to make a sacrifice for a greater good. So these warriors we're hearing about, Maharaj Parikshit, these guys are glorious. Thereupon, when all the good signs of the zodiac gradually evolved, the heir apparent of Pandu, heir apparent means like the next king, who would be exactly like him in prowess. Pandu is very powerful. Took birth. Purport. Okay. Astronomical calculations of stellar influences upon a living being are not suppositions, but are factual, as confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Every living being is controlled by laws of nature at every minute, just as a citizen is controlled by the influence of the state. The state laws are grossly observed, but the laws of material nature, being subtle to our gross understanding, cannot be experienced grossly. As stated in the Bhagavad-gita, every action of life produces another reaction, which is binding upon us. And only those who are acting on behalf of Yagya, or Vishnu, are not bound by reactions. Our actions are judged by higher authorities, the agents of the Lord, and thus we are awarded bodies according to our activities.
Okay.
That's pretty good right there. I mean, we could just tease that whole thing out.
Go for it.
You're awarded a body according to your activity.
It's called karma.
What's that?
That's called karma.
Oh, that's called karma.
Yeah. Actually, in the Gita, Krishna defined karma as, taking a body based on your previous activities. The body
activity which gives you a body. That's karma.
Yes.
Isn't that an interesting way to think of karma?
Yeah.
Any activity that gives you another body.
And that body will be born at a particular moment and at a particular place.
A longitude and latitude.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And at that time, a star is rising. From that one star, you can calculate your whole astrological chart. And this stuff is real. This stuff is all real. You may think, well, I was getting into this. I could sort of get the philosophy. Now it's astrology. I got news for you. It's all real.
Well, Prabhupada backed you up right there. He said astronomical calculations of stellar influences upon the living being are not suppositions, but are
They're
factual.
not suppositions.
So he says it's all real.
It's all real.
Okay.
And you can, oh man.
But what's said here is kind of important because, or let's say helpful, because in other words, it's not just like, oh, I was born at this time in this place, and therefore, randomly, I'll have a certain type of destiny or fate. But what it's saying is, no, due to your previous activities, you're born in a situation. And you can read about that situation by looking at the stars. Right?
Yeah.
You get the difference?
Yeah.
It's not just a random thing, but it's based on, and so Prabhupada, he's using the word laws here, that there's certain laws that just like we're kind of governed by the laws of the state, that there's laws in nature and there's a law of karma. And based on your previous activity, you'll be born in a particular body, and there'll be particular influences in your life. They're influences in your life. They're not necessarily like how those influences play out will be determined by how you respond to them, and how you live your life. But these influences will be there.
What do you think about The Secret?
You asked me that before. I don't know anything about The Secret, but
power of intention.
Okay.
No, I'm saying this because people will say power of intention. You just got to focus. You got to just focus on what you want. If you just put everything aside, this is what everybody knew throughout history. Michelangelo, the pharaohs, everybody knew about pharaohs. The Secret, that's The Secret. But there's a problem with The Secret. You just might not have the karma.
Right. Yes.
Now that's sort of broken because that means we're a slave to destiny. How do you reconcile that, Kaustubha? Are we a slave to destiny, or do we have free will? This is what the Christian, when the Christians went over to India, this was their big complaint. How can there be, in your predestined world, there's no chance to accept Jesus into your life and be reconciled with Jesus because everything is predestined.
Okay.
So can you reconcile the balance here,
Yes.
sir?
I'll use an analogy that I've used here previously, but it's always a good one to bring up. And let's say you're driving a car, right? So you make a choice.
Yeah.
You make a choice. I'm going to get in the car, and then you make another choice. I'm going to increase the speed to 100 miles an hour. Now, once you make that choice, then you've limited your ability to make other choices. Okay, you're kind of stuck now. Like
Right.
once you're driving, at least for some time, you have to ride it out. So once I've made the decision to drive 100 miles an hour, I can no longer turn right quickly or turn left quickly or stop immediately, right? I've lost the ability to do that. And so by making one decision, you determine your future, and then you have to ride that out for a certain amount of time. Now I can gradually slow down, and then I'll have the ability to turn right or left. But for that time, I won't have that ability.
Sure. It's like if you have a child that takes us, right? That's like one
Yeah.
door you open. Now I have a child, I can't do X, Y, and
It's
Z.
going to limit me in certain ways. Any choice, practically any choice that we make is going to.
But they're bound by
expand.
time also, right? And like I have to
And it's bound by time. Yeah. So for some time, my possibilities will either expand or will contract based on the decisions that I made. Now that's just a very simple way of looking at it. But now if you dial that back and say that the way that I've lived my life determines my next birth, and in that birth, there'll be certain influences, certain possibilities will be opened and certain ones won't. Certain influences will come at me. Nothing I can do about it, but I can respond to how I respond to it. The cautions that I take, or the way that I rise up to it, or whether I try to avoid it, or, that I still have that free will to respond to that fate. And how I respond to that fate will determine the destiny, where I go, in the future.
That's the secret. That's the secret, Kaustubha. That's the secret. Copernicus, Aristotle, Ted Nugent, they all knew.
Ted Nugent knew it. That's how he became Ted.
No, where freaking Ted Nugent came from. Anyway, you got to watch The Secret, the movie. I think you might enjoy it.
Okay. So, but yes, so, obviously.
I think there is a spiritual secret, though. The spiritual secret. This is what I was saying the other day. When you really focus on Krishna is my Lord, Krishna comes to you. It's that is really true. Krishna will come. I think because Krishna is above. See, astrology's work with the gunas. And you are subject to those gunas, those three gunas of the material world, governed by Mahesh. And, you're under there and you're dominated by those gunas. Krishna is Bhagavan. He's above these gunas, right?
What's the verse?
He's gunagrahi.
But what's Daivi Hyesha Gunamayi? Mamamaya Dharatyaya?
Daivi Hyesha Gunamayi. He's above the modes and inexhaustible. So
but,
if you... What?
Well, to continue that verse, he says that the three gunas, the three different modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, he says these are my energies, and they're very difficult to overcome.
But one who surrenders to me can easily cross beyond them.
There you go.
So this is the deal. When you surrender to Krishna, however you want to call it Krishna, I'm saying Krishna again, but God, your higher power, whenever you surrender, guess what? You're above your astrology. That means Krishna at any point can just say, you know what? I'm going to let this person transcend his astrology. Why? Because you got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, just like a reformed,
go on.
Like a reformed prisoner, a warden or some political figure might grant a pardon, might shorten one's sentence.
There you go.
Because the purpose has already been served. The purpose of our karma is to get us going back in the right direction, right? Now, if we make a decision, I'm going to go in the right direction, then the karma doesn't have to play out.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So Prabhupada would sometimes, he used an analogy that he said that this karma that plays out astrologically, he says that once we give our life to Krishna, then we're in his hands. It's like kind of like we're in the hands of the laws when we're turned our back to him. But when we turn to him, then he takes specific personal interests. And the karma may play out, the astrological influences may play out, but he also said it's like when you pull the plug on a fan. If you pull a plug on a fan, it's still spinning.
Still spinning.
But it's winding down. There's no real force behind it like there was before. And so similarly, when we say, you know, Krishna, I'm yours now. You know what? I've learned my lesson. I get it. I've been running around this world trying to squeeze my individual selfish pleasure out of it, completely ignoring my connection to you. I've changed my mind now. I've recognized how ignorant that was. I want to reconnect, and I want to make my life all about reconnecting. Then it's like the plug just got pulled and the whole karmic thing is winding down.
So this is an interesting point. Suppose you have karma to be, it's not so good. You're not so good.
Okay. What's going to happen? What's going to happen to me?
Krishna could say, you know what? I want you to be super famous.
Okay.
But that's not my karma. I know, but if you had that karma, you might do incredible things with it. Or if you have karma to be really, really, really famous or really wealthy or something, Krishna might say, you know what? I've chose to take away all your wealth because it's not going to help you in your spiritual path. Krishna cares about our spiritual path. So he might give you karma. He might give you some reaction that's not in your karma. This is how Krishna plays, because ultimately Krishna is Dinabandhu, right? Oh. He is your best friend. He's your best friend. All right. And so therefore he wants what's best for you, and he can just shift your karma around. Right, Mara? Mara got her chart done recently.
Yeah.
she's got like an enigmatic chart. It's like, what's up with your chart, Mara? He's like, the astrologer is like, well, let's talk later. Let's talk. You're above your chart, Mara. Don't worry.
She's beyond
You're above it. You're beyond it. You've surrendered to sweet baby Krishna.
The plug's been pulled.
The plug's been pulled. And now Krishna just gives you whatever you want for your purification. You know, and this is what happens, you know, Krishna, we've seen it happen. Sometimes you'll get exactly what your chart says, but you react to it. This is the big one. Yeah. And even people, just like regular spiritual people, say this in Instagram posts. It's not what you get, it's how you react to what you get. And the people practicing bhakti, huh?
It's not what you got, it's what you do with what you got.
That's a different one, but it's similar.
Oh, what did you just say?
It's not what you get.
It's what you do with what you get.
No, it's not what you get.
Very different.
It's how you react to what you get.
Very different.
So what happening in bhakti is we're changing the way we react to whatever our karma is. And that is all the difference. Good day.
All right. Should we continue with this commentary?
Yeah, this is good.
This is very interesting, actually.
We had, you know what we should get on the show? Well, we had
Prem Kishore.
Prem Kishore, he's great, from Italy. Great astrologer. Drew Lawrence did somebody on the shows, and he is great. He did Maris, he did mine. He did
you know another interesting person to get? Maybe Gadadhar. Talk about Vastu.
Gadadhar. You don't understand Gadadhar. I don't know if you know the story about Gadadhar. This guy is he's like a super genius. Yeah. He's a super genius. He's one of those guys who can play like 5 people at chess playing 12. Backwards.
No, 12 people blindfolded.
Blindfolded chess.
As a boy. He did
As a child. He was one of those child prodigies.
Wunderkind, they called it in Germany.
A Wunderkind.
Wunderkind.
Nicole, are you a Wunderkind? Nicole's sure. She's like,
did I say that well? Wunderkind.
Wunderkind.
All right. All right.
I was a blunderkind. What happened to this child? We thought he would be smarter.
So tell us more about Gadadhar.
Well, I don't know, but he's got a list of these incredible inventions he does.
He invented something.
He's like an inventor
or something.
But anyway, he's way above astrology now. Now he does things like,
he does Vastu though.
He does Vastu. He's a master at so many things. We got to find him.
Okay. Sings like an angel too.
Yeah, he's a special guy. Sings like an angel on top of it all.
Yeah.
Okay, a person's
The
destiny.
law of nature. The law
The-
of nature.
The law of nature is so subtle that every part of our body is influenced by the respective stars. And a
Every part
living
of the
being,
body.
every part of the body.
Like the mind and the, you know, like it's all like.
Yeah,
Has
right?
the
That's where they get the
influences-
word lunatic from. Because it's
Ah,
right? The lunatic.
the moon, the influence of the moon.
The moon influences the mind.
Okay.
Right. A man's destiny is therefore ascertained by the birthright constellation.
Hold on. I interrupted you, so you never finished that previous sentence.
I'm sorry.
The law of
The law
nature.
of nature is so subtle that every part of our body is influenced by the respective stars, and a living being obtains his working body to fulfill his terms of imprisonment by the manipulation of such astronomical influence.
Mm-hmm.
A man's destiny is therefore ascertained by the birth time constellation of stars. And factual horoscope is made by the learned astrologers. Do you know that these books are called the Hara Shastras?
Hara.
That's where they get the name horoscope.
I didn't know that. Why Hara?
I don't know. I don't know why they're called that, but that's what they're called. And they were made. Check this out.
I thought it was called
Check this out.
Jyotish.
You want to hear something else interesting?
Yeah.
Vyasadeva, the author of the Bhagavatam, it's his father that compiled all this stuff. Parashara Muni was the compiler of Jyotish.
All right.
And the study of Vedic astrology is actually called Jyotish, and it means the Jyoti, the light, the star, the luminaries, the science of the luminaries.
Mm-hmm.
The most auspicious constellation of stars takes place.
Hold on.
Am I skipping stuff?
Yeah. It is a great science.
All right, read. I've lost. Oh, it's a great science, and the misuse of a science does not make it useless. Maharaj Prickett.
That's important right there. Slow down.
It's a great science, and the misuse of a science. Okay.
So in other words, that is just because what Prabhupada is saying is, he's saying that there is a genuine science of astrology. It's valid, but there's a lot of quacks out there.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't mean you can just trust any astrologer.
Yeah.
Okay. But just because there's bogus astrologers out there doesn't mean that it's not real.
No, it's like people who study astrology, they're like mathematicians, engineer types, you know?
They're Brahmins, you know, they're like people, these really refined people. They have, a certain lifestyle and certain interests, you know, it's not just, anyone that's, it's just the stuff that you read the newspaper and,
Yeah, when you drive by some like someone's house, and there's also a sign out front that says psychic readings. It's not just that. It's not that. It's not someone with some intuition or
it's like a real
guy with a bandana.
Kind of scholarly, kind of refined person that understands these sciences.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maharaj Prickett, or even the personality of Godhead, appear in certain constellations of good stars, and thus the influence is exerted upon the body, thus born at an auspicious moment.
Okay.
The most auspicious constellation of stars takes place during the appearance of the Lord in this material world, and it's specifically called Jayanti. That's what Jayanti means.
Well, Jaya.
Yeah, like the Gita Jayanti. A word not to be abused for any other purpose. Oh, because I think it was used as a political word, Jayanti, in India, Indian politics.
Okay.
Maharaj Prickett was not only a Greek, a great Kshatriya.
He was also Roman.
he was not just only a great Kshatriya emperor, but also a great devotee of the Lord. Thus, he cannot take his birth at any inauspicious moment. As a proper place and time is selected to receive a respectable personage, so also to receive such a personality as Maharaj Prickett, who is especially cared for by the Supreme Lord. A suitable moment is chosen when all the good stars assemble together to exert their influence upon the king. Thus, he took birth just to be known as the great hero of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
We're talking about that.
We were just talking about it. Well, that's the interesting thing about these Vedic holidays. They're all have to do with astrology.
Yeah.
Like if there's a beautiful moon out, you could be sure on that, whenever there's that, we'll call it the blood moon or the blue moon, the fire moon. They're all like appearances of great personalities.
And also, so when we celebrate them, we're celebrating them at the exact same astrological moment as well.
Mm.
So that there's that influence plays out during, so right during that time, let's be situated in the right consciousness and gain, the most from that auspicious moment.
Yeah. And, you can find, you can go back with astrology and find out the day you were born. Was it an auspicious day? Was it an inauspicious day? Was it a holy day? Days when people leave their bodies on holy days.
What if I do that and I find that it was rather inauspicious? What do I make of that? How do you respond to that?
Materially speaking or spiritually?
Well, you tell me.
I
go look at that chart and, oh my God, this is like all really
inauspicious.
It's really inauspicious.
It's a problem.
How
here's the deal. Here's the deal. It's all a problem. The whole material world's a problem.
Okay.
And if it's inauspicious, I got some bad news for you. Your life's gonna stink. But here's the good news. I mean, you could get a chart that says you're gonna be rich and famous, but you still might be miserable. Look at Grandfather Bhishma. He had this chart. He had everything, but everything was crumbling. Also, with our material success, there's also a flip side of that. So my point is, we're spiritual beings. Grandfather Bhishma led the most glorious life because he was connected to Krishna, despite all the the noise in his universe that was going on. So you could have materially lousy karma, but could it be exactly what you need to become pure in this lifetime? I've seen great devotees go through such tragedy only to get stronger and more focused. I mean, that's my sort of north of 50 years old revelation right now is anything I'm struggling with is just to make me realize, Krishna, there's just you. When you want to take shelter in some comfort of the material world, Krishna, it's just you. What do you think about that?
That's why I asked the question. That was very helpful.
When you got nothing, all you got is Krishna. And that's a great thing. And that's why monks voluntarily give up stuff so they can feel very dependent. I tell that story when I got on when I was a monk and they wouldn't let me on the plane and I had no money in India and I had $1. So I had $1 and they said it was going to be $100 to change your ticket. And I missed the flight. The next flight was a week later. I had nothing. And when you have nothing, you can't say, all right, I missed my flight. Can't get on it. All right, change my ticket. Here's my American Express Platinum card. I'm going to just stay at the Four Seasons this week. And you feel like, I got this. I can take care of this. Okay, you're going to ruin my life? I'll take care of it. I'm above it, But when you got nothing, you're like, oh, Krishna, what do you want from me? You really turn towards Krishna in destitution. And that's why they say, Krishna likes you. He gives you what you want and he loves you. He starts to take things away from you. When Krishna loves you, isn't that scary? When Krishna loves you, he starts to take things away from you because you become very dependent on Krishna. And he knows where you're at. Krishna knows exactly. So sometimes he just rewards the devotees things. And the devotee feels like, God loves me. God loves me. God loves me. And when the devotee gets enough faith, then all of a sudden the material world starts dismantling things and you're left. Oh, Krishna, help me, Krishna. And he becomes, and that's yoga. That's real yoga, is when you really just reach out in this transcendental destitution. Krishna, I trust you. That's powerful stuff.
Well, I think you shared something very helpful there, Raghunath, because I asked you a question. Say we look at the astrology and it's all inauspicious, right? What do we make of it? It's just life's going to be bad. But the point that you made was that when you turn to Krishna, then it all becomes auspicious, right? Even the inauspicious becomes auspicious when you connect to Krishna. So like there's that verse, Om apavitra pavitrova. You know that one?
Say it.
Sarva vastangatopi va yatsmarit pundarikaksham sabhyaya abhyantara suchihi. Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. You know, but it's a verse. It's often chanted at times when during different rituals, because you want everything to be very pure when you're making these offerings. But generally, our world is rather impure. But what this verse says is that both pure and impure, whether something is pure, whether something's impure, whether something is auspicious astrologically, whether something is inauspicious astrologically, no matter what condition we're passing through in material life, if we remember Pundarikaksham, the lotus-eyed Lord, Sri Krishna, then everything becomes auspicious, right? Everything becomes pure.
Sudurlabha. No, not Sudurlabha. What is it? Krishna.
Adulabha.
No.
Adulabha. Advaitam Achutam Anadam.
No. I'm thinking of like the once you full devotional service awards you. What's that word?
I don't know.
I can't remember. It's the beginning of all. The beginning of all auspiciousness. Krishna is all auspicious.
Yes, it makes everything auspicious. So even if my look at all these unfortunate I've got kind of all these unfortunate influences in my life.
Fortunate.
They become fortunate.
They become fortunate.
Most fortunate. So that's the key. It's like whatever is going to play out in our life, it becomes positive when we reconnect. Right?
Don't sweat it, Mara.
I'm curious about what came up at Mara's.
Me too. I'm dying.
Oh, she didn't tell you?
She wouldn't tell me. She's like, top secret.
Okay.
Secret stuff.
You were there for President Raghu.
It's going to work out, Mara.
It'll all work out.
So
we're here for you. We're going to help you.
Krishna's got a bigger plan for you.
All right. So where were we in this commentary? Hero Srimad Bhagavatam. This suitable arrangement. Found it?
I'm lost. Read it, please.
Okay. So it says, this suitable arrangement of astral influences is never a creation of man's will, but is the arrangement of the superior management of the agency of the Supreme Lord. Of course, the arrangement is made according to the good or bad deeds of the living being. Herein lies the importance of pious acts performed by the living being. Only by pious acts can one be allowed to get good wealth, good education, like Mara's got. That was good karma. Or beautiful features. The samskaras. Now, the samskaras means the rituals that are performed, the rites of passage in life, and etc. The samskaras of the school of Sanatana Dharma, man's eternal engagement. In other words, the practice, you could really say the practice of yoga or Bhakti-yoga. The samskars of the school of Sanatana Dharma are highly suitable for creating an atmosphere for taking advantage of the good stellar influences. And therefore, Garbhodhana Samskara, or the first seedling purificatory process prescribed for the higher castes, is the beginning of all pious acts to receive a good, pious, and intelligent class of men in human society, men and women.
It's interesting. The parents...
Yeah, Garbhodhana Samskar, what's that all about? Right?
The calling of the child into the womb. See, we use sex. Sex is just like, it's sex. Hey, everyone's having sex. Hey, first date, we had sex. It's just like a sacred thing. It's a sacred thing. And it's reminding us that this act calls a child into the womb. So even though the child has maybe some good karma coming into the womb, we're born, but it's also the consciousness of the parents. When you get the consciousness of the parents, it's attracting a particular soul. And so there's rituals that you go through to assist you to attract a special soul.
That's called Garbhodhana Samskar.
Yeah, it attracts the child to the garbo is like the womb, right?
Yeah.
Like
so
Garbha
yeah.
Pinda, isn't that the yoga pose?
Garbha Pindasana?
Garbha
Pindasana.
Pindasana.
You're all wrapped up and you're like that.
Yeah.
You went into the womb yesterday. Show us that again, Raghu.
I went to the womb. Oh yeah, I did.
So what Srila Prabhupada is saying here is that, hey, we're all dented cans. You know why? Because we don't know how to have sex, right?
We don't.
Right?
We don't.
We're
just like, Yahoo!
Yeah, we're
Because
taking
it's a trap.
something that's like a science. It's a beautiful science, and it comes with a lot of, a very pleasurable aspect to it.
And,
understand it for what
it's
it
a
is.
spiritual thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say, like, if you've engaged in sex, you could do it in a spiritual way. You could do it in a lustful way. You could do it in an ignorant way. And to the
Deeply
degree that
intoxicated
it's
way.
an intoxicated way, we don't even remember it. I mean, give me a break. And it could be like randomly, and cultures and the times that we live in, it changes. It changes over time. My parents, can I say this?
What
What
did they do?
They didn't have sex before they were married.
Oh.
It's just like, that's just what it was. That's just what they did. They were the first, and it's you reserve that for a very special occasion. The person you're going to spend the life with.
For us. Raghu, share a little talk with us today.
I'm going to tell you guys a little talk I wanted to have with you now about the birds and the bees. There comes a time in a young girl's life.
But what's being said here is that here was a civilization that recognized that our consciousness, the consciousness that you put into anything is important. What to speak of the consciousness that you put into conceiving a child.
Right.
And
it's actually a prayer. You're calling a child.
Yeah. And so they
then Krishna says, Kamosmi Bharatar Sabha. That type of sex life, that is me.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah. So if what's being said is if we could do that together as a society, if we could take sexuality, not everyone have sex together, but
where are we going with this?
As a society, if we could generate a consciousness of the significance and importance and sacred nature of sexuality, that we could breed a class of higher beings, that we could have a society of deeply spiritual, elevated people. And if not, we get the final sentence of this purport here.
Yeah.
There will be peace and prosperity in the world due to good and sane population only. There is hell and disturbance only because of the unwanted, insane populace addicted to sex indulgence.
I wonder what my parents' consciousness were like when I was conceived.
Oh, come on.
Was it spiritual or was it sort of just...
Raghunath, we can just tell from the result. You were the youngest child?
Second to youngest out of 7.
How many out of 7?
7 kids.
So they had 5 before you. But I think right around you, they got it all figured out, Raghunath.
I don't know.
Your mother was like, chanting prayers to Mother
Jesus,
Mary.
baby Jesus.
Mary, I think to Mary, right? Doing the Hail Mary, full of grace.
During conception?
During, before.
All right, I want to get these visions out of my mind. Can we go on?
You brought it up.
Please?
You brought it up. Any case, that's the end of that commentary. That was our astrology commentary for today. We only got 2 minutes left, so why don't we just share your last point of astrology? Share it so that we get it all in the right context, so that we don't get. Okay.
Because karma is real.
Let me say this. This purport very clearly validated the science of astrology. Okay. But I want you to share something with us now so that we approach it in the right way and don't get lost in it.
A lot of times in India, I'll take the students to an astrologer, but it can be problematic, right? It can be problematic to know what's right around. Let me tell you one story. I had a group. This is just a side story. Well, we went to this great
Your
astrologer
boyfriend is cheating
South
on you
India.
right now? Your fiance is cheating on you right now?
That one was a whole nother one. But hold on. This was just an interesting
one.
Damper
on the pilgrimage.
Yeah. Your husband is cheating on you now.
Back in America.
He's like, that's crazy. He loves me. And then we went to a second astrologer and he said the same thing. No, this guy from South India. He nailed everybody's astrological chart like to their face. Just told them everything, except one guy. And this guy was from the Midwest, and he was one of my students. Very super nice guy. And he said, Raghu, it was really weird. He got everybody's right, but mine was way off. I was like, what'd he say? He said that I was going to marry an exotic woman in the next 6 months. He goes, I live in the Midwest. There's nobody exotic. And it was just, he just wasn't he wasn't just sort of like a player type of guy. It was very cool, good character. But anyway, I get this call on the phone 6 months later. He's like, Raghunath, you're not going to believe it. I'm getting married to a Brazilian lady who just moved to my office, and we fell madly in love. The astrologer was right.
Just see.
Anyway, but my point is, we all have some type of karma we got to work through in this life. Mm-hmm. When we don't understand its karma, it just seems like our world is randomly good, randomly bad, randomly tragic, randomly. And there's a collective karma of the world, of the nation, of the state, of the family. Because when you come together with another person, you're marrying into their karma also as well. And so what's going on now is, as a devotee, we see that this karma is actually Krishna behind it. Or we don't even blame Krishna for what's happening. We think, I made these choices and these choices are affecting me and how I react to them. Can I react in a spiritual way with the information that I have to make a dharmic choice, a better choice? If I don't like what I got, guess what? I got this thing. I must have done something in a previous life to get this reaction. So now what can I do about that? What can I do to move forward? How can I make it this inauspicious thing very auspicious? I mean, if my karma says there's going to be no love in my life, how can I turn that into very auspicious? Maybe I can be loving. Maybe I can just be loving. If my karma says I'm going to have no money right now, maybe that means this is a great time for me to go inside and go get internal. If my karma says I'm going to be very powerful, very strong, very wealthy, how can I see that and say, I'm going to make sure it doesn't go to my head. I'm going to keep friends, minister type of friends around me who can guide me and coach me, and I can do good things with my money, stuff like that. We have to see whatever karma we have and use it from a perspective of a person practicing bhakti. And we should understand that Krishna is there and he's using these things for our purification. How's that?
That's absolutely fantastic. And I'm inspired by that to share one final verse for the day. Ready?
Yeah.
It's the famous Tatenu Kampam verse.
Tatenu Kampam, Tatenu Kampam.
Spoken by Lord Brahma to Lord Krishna after he had done his whole thing, and Krishna bewildered him, and then he was humbled, and then he began to offer these prayers. These prayers are just super great. Canto 10, chapter 14 is outstanding. This is text number 8. Tatenu kampam susamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvag vipurbir vidadhan namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadayabak. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, and offering you respectful obeisances within his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become their rightful claim.
Say that again.
Okay. My dear Lord, Brahma's praying to little Krishna, who's got he's holding like a lump of butter in his left hand and just kind of like,
okay, I got that.
Like kind of aloof, right? And Lord Brahma's down there on the ground and tears are coming out of his eyes and he's humble.
Lord Brahma looking very majestic, very opulent, very powerful, four heads bowing down. I don't know how he's doing that, if he's rolling or if all the heads are coming out like that. And he's saying what? Say it again.
And he's praying, little Krishna standing there with a lump of butter in his hand, this little cowherd boy, like, you thought I was nothing? Well, now you know, right? But I'm still just up here like a little boy. And he says, my dear Lord, one who, you see, there's two things that are being called. There's the causeless mercy. That's not our karma. That's Krishna's intervention. And then there's the karma. So first he mentions that intervention. I'm going to wait for it, but while I'm suffering the results of my karma, which I brought upon myself. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy on him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions to their past misdeeds. And while I'm going through the reactions that I brought upon myself from my previous activities that have played out astrologically for me.
Full responsibility. Full responsibility.
I'm offering you respectful obeisances from within the core of my heart and offering my words and my body. That person is surely eligible for liberation.
This
To become
is a great
free
verse.
from all these influences of the stars and influences of karma and the gunas and all of that. Why? Because it is through that surrender, this liberation has become their rightful claim. The term is diabok.
We should all memorize. Everybody on Zoom should memorize this verse, at least in English. Everyone, that's your homework today. Put it on the Discord thread.
Okay, for a Monday thing too, we could focus on this verse.
Yeah.
It has become. It's said just like when someone's parents die, they inherit their property. It becomes their rightful claim. It's undisputed. It's very clear that this is the son or the daughter. They get it. In a similar way, liberation becomes the rightful claim of one who lives their life in this consciousness.
Wow. Wow! What a segue, too! Let's dance! I apologize if I was a little kooky today.
What are you talking about?
Welcome, everybody who's new to the show. Welcome to the show. And please give us a 5-star review. We need that. Go over to the Apple Podcast. Give us 5 stars. And give us a little review. Tell us what you think. If you're one of those others out there or Californians out there that listen to the show but we don't know about you, write us a little email to Mara. And it's wisdomofthesages@gmail.com. Wisdom of the Sages is a listener-supported podcast. So if you'd like to support our service and go deeper into the teachings and practices of Bhakti-yogi, you can join our Patreon page at patreon.com/Wisdom of the Sages, where we host new classes, readings, etc., including today's class with Sachinandana Maharaj. We're very excited for. Thanks, everybody who's doing that support. We really appreciate you guys keeping this boat floating. We want this boat to keep floating. And now, my funnest part of class is where I start to sing and dance from my chair. It's not that loud today, is it? Thanks, everybody, for Zoom. Join us later. If you want to join the Zoom club, you got to email Mara, too. wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. Join link that I can see here.
Here goes, Raghu. Hit it.
Ready?
What happened?